Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really powerful idea from Harvard Business Review about how to stop the project chaos that so many companies face and really get a grip on product development. So let's just start with a question that, might feel a little too real. Does it ever seem like your company is just constantly putting out fires? Just reacting to problems instead of actually getting ahead and building what's next? If that feeling is familiar, well, look at these symptoms. Products are always late. Budgets are completely blown. Your teams are stressed out, overworked, and panicking. And worst of all, your time and money are going to whoever screams the loudest, not to your actual strategic goals. It's a really common trap. So today, we're going to walk through how to get out of it. We'll talk about what the project trap really is. We'll introduce the solution, the Aggregate Project Plan. We'll break down the 5 types of projects that make it work. We'll see how a real company turned its chaos into clarity. And finally, we'll see how this leads to smarter decisions and stronger teams. Okay, first up, the project trap. This is really about how companies with the best of intentions end up completely overloaded, where nothing seems to get done right. Let's make this concrete with a story about a company the article calls Prequip. They make scientific instruments. And their management was getting really worried. They were spending more and more money on development, but fewer and fewer products were actually making it out the door. How does that happen? Well, this chart shows exactly how. When they finally sat down and listed everything they were working on, they counted 30 different projects. But here's the brutal truth. The work they had demanded from their teams was about 3 years' worth of effort. Their actual capacity? Just 1 year. They were trying to cram 3 years of work into one. It's no wonder they were failing. So how on earth do you fix a problem like that? I mean, it's not about just managing each little project a bit better. The answer is to completely change how you look at the problem. And here it is. This is the big idea. You have to stop looking at each individual project, each tree, and start looking at the entire portfolio, the whole forest. It's about managing the set of all your projects together. The tool you use for this is called an Aggregate Project Plan. You can think of it like a strategic map of everything you're trying to build. It lets you sort your projects into different types, see how they fit with your main goals, and then, and this is key, make smart, deliberate choices about where your precious time and money should go. Now, let's get to the heart of how you actually build this map. You have to understand the different kinds of projects you have. The framework divides all development work into 5 basic categories. First, you have what are called derivative projects. These are the small incremental changes. A new software feature, a new color for a device, different packaging. They're usually pretty low effort, and they're great for keeping your existing product lines feeling new and fresh. Then, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you've got your breakthrough projects. These are the big, audacious goals, the game changers that create whole new product categories. Think of the very first personal computer or the first digital camera. They take a ton of resources, but they can completely remake your business. Okay, now in between those two, you have platform projects. And you could argue these are the most important ones for long-term success. A platform isn't just a single product. It's a new foundation, a core engine, or a new chassis that you can then use to spin off a whole bunch of different derivative products. And this is just the perfect example of their power. Sony had more than 200 different Walkman models over the years. 200. But they didn't design each one from scratch. They were all based on just 3 core platforms. That's incredible leverage. And finally, the framework makes sure you don't forget the other 2 types of work. You've got your pure research and development, the science projects that create new knowledge for the future, and you've got alliances and partnerships, projects you do with other companies. They all use resources, so they have to be on the map too. Okay, so let's go back to Prequip. We saw their before picture, total chaos. Now let's see what happened when they actually applied this framework. They followed this 4-step process exactly. First, they sorted their 30 projects into the 5 types. Then, they did the painful work of figuring out their true capacity.
Next, they decided what their mix should look like to support their strategy. And then came the hardest part of all.
They had to make some brutal decisions. Using their new map as a guide, they went from 30 projects down to just 11. They killed projects, they postponed things, they even canceled some senior managers' pet projects. It took real guts. And what happened when they started doing less? They finished more, a lot more. By focusing their people on only the most important projects, their overall development productivity tripled. Let that sink in. A threefold improvement just from focusing. But this isn't just about a one-time, painful cleanup. The real power of having an aggregate project plan is that it becomes a long-term advantage, helping you make smarter choices and build better teams. For instance, now you can be deliberate about your timing. Prequip chose a steady stream strategy, rolling out a new platform every couple of years. Other companies might use a secondary wave strategy. You launch a huge platform, and then a year or two later, you release a whole flood of derivatives to really own the market. And this starts to feed back into your organization in really cool ways. It becomes a tool for growing your people. You can give a junior leader a small derivative project and then a bigger platform project. It also shines a bright light on what skills you're missing, and that helps you get better year after year. And that really brings us to the ultimate lesson here. It's never about a single heroic project saving the day. Your company's future is defined by the entire portfolio, the full set of projects you choose to do. So I'll leave you with this one last thought to take with you. The collection of projects that your company is working on right this very minute, that is your strategy in action. So the question is, are you building your future by design, or are you building it by accident?